Welcome back to the Real Texas Radio Podcast with your host, Bronin. I've got a big show planned today. I am going to be talking about waste, fraud, and abuse all over Dallas, all over Austin, and other places in Texas too. It's everywhere. We're going to be rooting it out here on the Real Texas Radio Podcast. And also in San Antonio, there is a cancellation on the horizon of a major celebrity who is supposed to be performing in concert on Independence Day this weekend. We're going to be talking about that as well. If this is your first time joining the Real Texas Radio Podcast, welcome, 1,000 welcomes, and you can follow the show on X. I post the video of all the stories that I talk about here on the Real Texas Radio Podcast on X at RTR_Bronin, RTR_Bronin. And if you would, please, if you haven't already, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, download the Real Texas Radio Podcast from wherever you stream your podcasts. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, now, you're listening to the Real Texas Radio Podcast. I'm your host, Bronin, just a fed-up taxpayer, bringing you all of your Texas, local, and national news. Okay, so there is no way that I'm going to be able to get to everything that I want to talk about. I have a whole notebook page full of topics that I want to address all around the state of Texas, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio in particular. I think I'm going to start off in Dallas. I'm going to try to get to everything as succinctly as possible. But last week, Chief Cuomo, who he is the police chief in Dallas. He's been in the position for over a year. Well, he appeared very curiously on a podcast with Sarah Bennett, affiliated with the Dallas Express, which we love the Dallas Express here. In fact, I have a story out of Tarrant County, Fort Worth, from the Dallas Express that I want to get to if I have time. But it appears to me that the police chief of Dallas, he obviously was granted permission to make a media appearance by the city manager herself, Kim Tolbert, who, as you know, desperately wants to get out of Dallas City Hall, wants to abandon the building, and I think she would like to have the Mavs build their entertainment district right at 1500 Marilla Street, where Dallas City Hall currently exists. So let me just go ahead and start off by playing this cut.
What would you want to be able to point to and say, this was part of my legacy, and this is what I was really hoping to leave as my mark?
I believe a city starts with downtown. We have to keep downtown safe. We have to have a vibrant downtown. We need an entertainment district downtown. And it's going to be our job to keep everyone safe down there.
We need an entertainment district downtown, says the police chief of Dallas. Why would the police chief of any city be advocating for an entertainment district? Oh, unless, of course, the city council, the city manager, really anybody paying attention now in Dallas for the last 9 months has been debating this very issue. Of course, the Mavs, they have signed a non-binding agreement to build an entertainment district in North Dallas, or far North Dallas, at the old Valley View site, 100 acres, as you know. But I can't believe it. Maybe Chad West has sat down with Sarah Bennett before. I'm not sure about that, but obviously the Dallas Express is very critical of the city of Dallas and how it's managed, and crime and homelessness and DART. So they pimped out Kim Tolbert. She pimped out the police chief of Dallas to advocate for abandoning City Hall. As an innocuous way. I mean, it wasn't even that innocuous. It was pretty evident what he was saying there in that cut. He wants an entertainment district. And, I was just reading that in the Dallas Morning News, they just published some of the police and crime stats. 911 response times, they are down. I think Chief Cuomo, he's credited with knocking down priority 1 response times down by about 2 minutes. Those are the most serious crimes, like a gunfire, for example, a gunshot wound, an active threat, anything like that, as well as cutting significantly the priority 2 calls down like 20 or 30 minutes, down from like 90-minute response from police to 67 minutes. This is according to the Dallas Morning News. They probably pulled the stats from the last public safety meeting, which I haven't been keeping up with that with the city council. But apparently there's been a significant decline, or at least a meaningful decline, in 911 calls. Now, a couple of years ago, the city shifted. They try to get more people to file police reports on the internet rather than calling 911 and inundating the 911 center. So it's obviously anytime crime spikes or decreases, obviously there's myriad factors that are at play, including hiring more police. Potentially, Dallas has, I think, like 200 or so more police, maybe even more than that, than it did 2 years ago, again, because of Prop U pushed the city to hire more police. Controversial decision. And in any case, back to the central business district and putting an entertainment district where City Hall is. If City Hall wasn't there, it would be a nice idea, I think. If City Hall wasn't there, something else probably would have sprung up. But the fact is, City Hall is there. And it's right in the center of a triangle of the Dallas County Jail, which is going to remain in its spot for probably at least another 5 years before the county builds a new one. Hopefully far, far, far the hell away from us. Hopefully out in the middle of the ocean somewhere. Underwater would be even better. Then you've got the Bridge Homeless Center, which it seems like the region and possibly even other parts of the state just use for a dumping ground for their mental patient, homeless, junkie, bum, criminal, vagrant, ne'er-do-well, recidivist, reprobate population. They just dump them down in the farmer's market. And then you got these bums loitering all over the vacant parking lots, the City Hall site, the Central Business District. And then the other point in the triangle is the West End Dart Station, which is just a set of The Walking Dead. It's just the zombie apocalypse over there. And I think Austin Street is not too far away either, another homeless center. So, and then you've got, of course, the highways, which obviously are just development kryptonite. So there are many factors that are plaguing the Central Business District and Dallas City Hall. I think I mentioned this on a recent episode. I think it's just the scapegoat. I think it's just easy to point to this one building, forget about the people in the building, many of whom have plenty of problems and blame to go around. But the physical building, I don't think is the real problem. I think it's all of these other factors, particularly the bums, who create such a disproportionate amount of crime and trouble and nuisance and waste. And people don't realize. And there's always new bums coming in. We got plenty of old bums. We got plenty of veteran bums. We got all kinds of new bums. Anyway, I didn't mean to get off on a big tangent there on the homeless. So a very interesting development occurred. And I was on vacation last week. I was in Boston, New Hampshire, and Maine. I was driving all over the place. I got a few beach days. The weather was mostly great. Saw some of the World Cup games, including France versus Norway. I actually was up at Gillette Stadium, Foxborough, where the New England Patriots play. But I was at a watering hole watching the game right beside the stadium, the closest bar to Gillette Stadium. That's where I was. All right, so Chad West, I call him the bag man. He chairs the finance committee in Dallas, council member District 1. He's been leading the charge since day one, and I don't know if it's because Mayor Eric Johnson put him up to it. Mayor Eric Johnson, he wants to leave Dallas City Hall just as bad as anybody else. He wants to demo it. He doesn't care about the building. He hates the building as far as I can tell, and just from his own comments, which he's been saying publicly going back 6+ months. But he has Chad West out there in the finance committee debating whether or not to leave in any case. And Chad West, he's been very clear. I know he pretends to be cautious and thoughtful in his messaging. Oh, I'm open to options. Oh, I'm not convinced yet. I don't know. Well, guess what? Last week, he pens an opinion piece for the Dallas Morning News. And what a tune he is singing now. It's playing to a different beat, to a different rhythm. He writes, and I won't read the whole thing, "My primary criticism is based on city staff's lack of a transparent plan for what will happen to City Hall." That goes right to the top, right to the head of the snake, Kim Tolbert, who has been completely untransparent throughout this entire process. "I remain unconvinced that moving out of City Hall is the only solution to revive downtown." Let me go back here. "Plan for what will happen to City Hall footprint if we move our seat of government, leave the current building vacant, or worse, if we demolish it and leave a scrapped, vacant site." Despite putting out requests for ideas, which the city did, I mean, it was a big joke. It was just to placate the masses. They had no intention of using anybody's proposal, which I think they gave people, 4 weeks to come up with a proposal to transform the Central Business District of the 9th largest city in the United States. Sure, Jan. "I have seen no plans from city staff for a catalytic project that could give downtown the jump start it needs to keep up with the growth of the rest of the region. I remain unconvinced that moving out of City Hall is the only solution to revive downtown when a quarter of downtown is surface parking lots, part of the set of the zombie apocalypse, and it is choked by highways like Interstate 345. It's hard to argue that a poorly maintained government building on 12 acres is the paramount problem holding back downtown." I think he's been reading my stuff. Chad West, are you a listener to the Real Texas Radio podcast? Do you follow Bronin.substack.com, where I've been writing columns about this very issue, making these precise points? Perhaps you have. Do you follow me on X at RTR_Bronin? RTR_Bronin? Councilmember West, the bag man, who the first member of the public, as far as I could tell, to speak in council chambers on whether or not to leave City Hall and go lease a building or buy up another building downtown, was a representative of Trammell Crow Center, the family, fabulously wealthy, who are the largest donors to the entire Dallas City Council, and their top recipient of funds is Bagman Chad West, something like $40,000 over the course of his tenure on the city council. And so here we are. We just wasted everybody's time. If they don't move, and I have never been an advocate of moving. I have been somewhere in the middle. I've heard all the arguments. But now if they don't move, what a complete waste of time this was. What a total waste of time. This just sucked up all of the oxygen in the room for the last 10 months. What a waste. Ugh. So it all goes back to the city manager. And you know what? I think I've been tempered in my remarks, and I've been there's too many cooks in the kitchen. The council, ultimately, they're the electeds. They hire the city manager. They have the power to fire. I think they need a supermajority to do that. And you don't want to look stupid, as the council has already, with the Office of the Inspector General hiring somebody unqualified, firing him just a few months later. And it just makes you look stupid if you fire somebody who you just hired. Kim Tolbert, she's been in the role for about 2 years, but you know what? I think she's got to be at least, I don't know if she's at least a little bit nervous. If nobody on the council has called for her to be fired yet, certainly many of the bleepsters have called for her to be fired for a long time, but now she's got this $30 million budget shortfall. She is losing the stars, it looks like. She lost AT&T. Neiman Marcus, I mean, I know it's an institution. It's been there for 100 years, but Neiman Marcus downtown closing in September, that's been a long time coming. Neiman Marcus in downtown, any kind of department store in any city center is the fact that they've been able to hang on so long is a miracle in itself, I would say. They're still going to be at North Park. But yes, the city has notched wins with the Morgan Stanley is now going to be relocating thousands of staff to Dallas. We've got Goldman Sachs opening up right across from the American Airlines Center. Huge development. Scotiabank. Sure, we've got wins, but I think that these negatives, when you look at Kim Tolbert's resume, I think that they're louder in terms of what the public is seeing. I think that the negatives are really going to put her on defense. And not to mention all of the agendas that come out at close to midnight and posted at the last minute before you're supposed to alert the public to the agenda several days in advance. Just all kinds of sneaky stuff. And now she has announced, now that the council is in recess and won't be returning until August, that she's going to furlough $5 million worth of non-uniform staff, which I have no problem doing that. The staff in Dallas has bloated over the last 5-10 years, mostly under the previous city manager. So I know that sucks when you inherit somebody else's mess, and no doubt Kim Tolbert has inherited a lot of the mess. But she's also been around, assistant city manager. She's been around Dallas for the last 30 years, so she's got a hand in this as well. And so now she's going to furlough the non-uniform staff. Starting this month, they have to take 3 unpaid days, so it's not the end of the world. Obviously, it sucks. Nobody wants to go without pay. But, now all of the low IQ individuals, now, they'll use elements like this to beat the drum of, we can't cut the tax rate. Oh, we might even have to increase it, even though Dallas has the highest urban tax rate, certainly in the region, but even among the big cities. And they still can't get their act together. This is Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, who is gunning to eliminate property taxes for homesteaders in Florida through a November ballot. This is what he has to say about all of the spendthrifts, all of the elected officials who they got into the racket just for the salary, for the free vacations, to have the campaign fund, just so they could cry about trans and weed and abortion and DEI and all of the issues that have absolutely nothing to do with running a city. This is what Ron DeSantis just said.
So what I would say to you is this: you are going to hear those horror stories from every local government in the state. They are going to. I know that, and they're doing that to try to get people to not vote for this. They have a self-interest in keeping the gravy train going. If you can't see that, I don't know how I can help you. You're going to continue to be inundated by this. They're going to tell you. They're going to tell you there's no money for infrastructure. You're not going to have any money for police. You're not going to have any money for any of these things. They are going to say that over and over again. And let me ask you this question. Excuse me, I'm answering your question. You asked the question, I'm answering it. If we had 32 billion in 2019, I came here, I was all over the state. Did we not have services in 2019? I mean, is this, do I have amnesia? I mean, yes, we did. So even if you just said 2019 levels, adjust for population and inflation, that'd be like 43 billion, 44 billion. You're having way more, even if you pass this property tax thing. So don't buy the hype that you're not going to be able to do these things. I can tell you, anytime the property tax is put to voters around the country, you hear the same arguments over and over again.
You get the idea, but he hit the nail on the head. He is exactly correct. I couldn't have said it better myself, Governor DeSantis. If he is able to get eliminating property taxes for homesteaders, not for investors, not for vacationers, but your primary property, which I think that's fair. If he can get this over the line in November, then Ron DeSantis, who obviously was a bit of a stillborn in the 2024 presidential contest, he's absolutely worth a look for reconsideration in 2028. Governor Greg Abbott, I have a feeling that we're going to see him in the 2028 contest as well. He's got nowhere to go. He's a fourth-term governor. I think he's around age 70 or will be by the time 2028 rolls around. And he's been, as far as governors go, I mean, look around the country. He could be a lot worse. I know it's disappointing on the property taxes. He's been claiming for the past 6-7 years that he's going to eliminate property taxes. Hasn't done it yet. He could do it right now. He could, obviously, you're not going to call a special session last minute in July, right before Independence Day. But he could do this. He could do it in August. He could do it in September. He could call a special session. He could absolutely eliminate these property taxes. So he's now admitting that, I have people coming up to me all the time after this homestead exemption, which is now $140,000, up from $15,000, I believe, when he was elected governor in his first term. And it's made absolutely no difference. That's what they tell me. The homestead exemption has been raised from $15,000 to $140,000. It's made no difference in your tax bill, has it? It hasn't in mine. I don't know anybody who is delighted. If you're a senior citizen homesteader in a condo that's worth $200,000 or less, then you don't have a property tax bill. Everybody else, your bill probably hasn't changed for the better at all. And how many terms in the Texas legislature have they focused on the homestead exemption versus actual property tax elimination? You're probably falling asleep now. I've bored you to death talking about property taxes. Allegedly, Greg Abbott is going to put it on the ballot for us to be able to vote. More delay to eliminate the school property taxes, just the school, which is most of your bill, most likely. If you're in Dallas, it certainly is. And force cities to gain a 2/3 majority at the ballot box in order to pass any kind of bond. And the devil is in the details, of course. I can't imagine it means that 2/3 of eligible voters have to turn out. It just probably means that 2/3 of those who show up, or 66% or so, 67% of those who turn out, which is almost nobody in a bond election, would have to pass the bond. In which case, guess what? The Dallas ISD bond in May, it passed overwhelmingly. I think over 70%, not with my help. So guess what? It would have passed anyway. So thanks, Governor Abbott. We have to cut the money supply off to these people, to these hacks. You have to stop giving the money. It's the only way. You have no idea. the creativity that these people will employ to waste your money. I was just reading ATX Data is a great X follow, ATX Data. He just tweeted out that the council, I don't know why, in Austin, the Austin City Council, they're looking to put in all of these restrictions for mailers, physical mailers that council members use as personal campaigning material. They will send out a mailer that looks like a magazine cover with their own portrait on the front. And they use all of these personal pronouns to self-promote. And they will spend 5 figures, according to ATX Data, on these mailers. And now the city is looking to put in place restrictions to prevent that. 5 figures to send out mailers that are basically campaign ads for individual city council members. Cut the money off. Cut it off. Don't listen to any of their BS. Police, fire, parks, the children. This is also out of Austin. This is on Substack, Austin Reform. An exploration into Austin's homeless industrial complex. $1.7 billion spent on, quote, fighting homelessness, which is code for growing and expanding homelessness over 8 years. Yet Austin now has more homeless than ever. So I'm not going to read you the whole thing. I'm going to skip around, but I did tweet this out on my ex, RTR_Bronin, RTR_Bronin. Between fiscal year 2019, the year the first city audit documented systematic failures, the accountability starting gun, in the summer of 2026, 7-year period, 2019 to 2026, an intricate network of city departments, federal pandemic relief funds, COVID hoax, farce, nonsense, scam, and politically connected nonprofits channeled a documented $757 million in core operational cash into Austin's homelessness response. But when tracking the broader ecosystem, the phony baloney nonprofits, including parallel county healthcare budgets, capital housing bonds, and all combined city, county, federal, and private sources, the total footprint scales $1.7 billion, driven by an annual burn rate that crested at an astonishing $315 million at its peak. The returns on that investment are frozen in public record. In January 2025, the annual point less in time count homeless census documented 3,238 people living on Austin's streets and in its shelters, the highest number in recorded history. Representing a 29% increase from the dawn of the spending surge. If that isn't enough to convince you that all homeless spending is a total waste of money, I don't know what is. Stop spending money on these bleep bums. It's time to open Crack Island. I bet Crack Island could be fully operational for the entire state of Texas with the cities prioritized, including Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Houston, all of our bums. Probably $1 million, you'd get that going. For the price of handing out packs of cigarettes, liquor, weed, they would all go. You'd get a parade with flags and drums beating and trombones to Crack Island. Move them all there, never see them again. Stop this waste, fraud, and abuse. It is so out of control. The Austin, thank God, they've got some great citizen watchdogs who show up to the city council meetings and are very active on social media, and not just bleep stirring, but really educating their neighbors and residents in Austin. I had Jeff Bowen, who is currently running for the Austin City Council, on the Real Texas Radio podcast I think that was in May. You should check out that episode. We had a great conversation. And he alerted me to some secret voting going on in Austin regarding the electric utility that the city owns. It's just come to light. I tweeted that out. I'm not going to really get into all of that right now, but there was another point about Austin, and this is the reason why our city governments just run amok and they just have bloated staff and all kinds of waste, fraud, and abuse. This is according to the Austin American Statesman, the paper down in Austin. Austin posted the highest rental turnover rate in the country between 2023 and 2024, a new study found. Researchers say a glut of new apartments is driving down rents, pushing landlords to offer renters incentives to move more frequently. New complexes like the Takara at Weiss Ranch Apartments near Lake Pflugerville, seen here in late 2023, is among the new complexes pushing the trend. I tweeted it out, but nearly half of renter households in the Austin metro area moved within the past year. Half of people who rent in Austin, they moved. They may have moved within Austin, but the point is they moved. You can't build community if you have half of the population moving every single year, especially to apartments. They're not registering to vote. They're not re-registering to vote. They have no idea if they've moved to a different council district, school board district, state representative, state senate, the Texas State Board of Ed. The list goes on. Constable, justice of the peace. They have no idea. They have no clue. They don't care. And you know what? You talk to anybody my age, which, by the way, is about middle age, certainly younger, and whether they just moved to the city, whether Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Houston, wherever, they're already thinking about where they're moving next. Everything's temporary. It's all choices and options. So those of us who pay attention, no matter what city, state, town you're in, you have to do everything you can to get the people who show up, the few of us who do, to these local elections, anytime a tax increase is on the ballot, to stop it. We just have to cut. You can't keep giving these people money. That's what it always just boils down to. No matter what the issue, stop paying them. Stop letting them confiscate your money. All right, I think I'm going to wrap it up here with this final story. Back to San Antonio. I just talked about it on my last episode of the Real Texas Radio podcast. San Antonio, of course, is helmed by the three-name lesbian mayor, Gina Ortiz, and Gina Ortiz Jones, rather. Well, anyway, Kanye West, or Ye, how he currently is styling himself, he is slated to be performing on Independence Day, July 4th, at the Alamo Dome. Is that what they've got there? And forgive me in my sports, in San Antonio. And the city council and the three-name mayor, they actually were exploring potentially canceling the concert because Kanye West, they claim he's known for his hate speech, and he's also been banned from entering the United Kingdom.
Up and says something like, "I am a god." Everybody says, "Who does he think he is?" I just told you who I thought I was, a god.
So it looks like the concert will be moving forward, and there's not a whole lot that the council and the three-name lesbian mayor who used to work in the Biden administration and as the undersecretary of the Air Force, not much they can do about it. Kanye West will be performing. I've never seen him in concert. Apparently, wasn't he at the Sphere in Las Vegas? That was supposed to be an excellent show. That was supposed to be, I believe, one of the most profitable shows, if not the most, ever. And in any case, so he'll be playing Independence Day, and I'm sure it'll be a show. Whatever kind of a show it will be, I'm sure it will be a show with Kanye West.
Well, they asked me, did I have a message to share with the world? That's my massage.
Okay. All right, I'm Bronin. Thank you for tuning in once again to the Real Texas Radio Podcast. Keep tuning in. Keep listening. Follow the show on X at RTR_Bronin. RTR_Bronin, and make sure to download, like, subscribe, follow the Real Texas Radio Podcast from wherever you stream. Happy Independence Day. I will catch you probably sometime next week.